James Dorsey. He's an adjunct senior fellow at Singapore S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies. Blinken, as we've been hearing, has gone back to the US with his arm swinging. Do you think the US did enough to get a deal?
I think there's a fundamental flaw underlying the negotiations that really hasn't been discussed, and that is that the United States and Netanyahu, or Israel in general, agree on one thing. That is, they don't want a return of Hamas once the guns fall silent. The problem is that they don't have a plan for the day after when the fighting stops, and therefore what the rules of the ceasefire are going to be, if there is a ceasefire, is going to dictate what the day after looks like. And so, in other words, maintaining an Israeli military presence, as the Israelis demand, and the United States essentially has backed, versus Hamas's demand that there be a full withdrawal and a full end to the war, is really about control of Gaza on the day that the fighting stops.
And I mean, some people might say that Hamas's negotiating position is getting worse by the day. The situation in Gaza is very much getting worse by the day. Why don't they just accept some of these increased demands by Israel?
Well, essentially, if one really looks at this, Israel's position hasn't changed. It's been making these demands now for several months. Hamas's position has not changed. It has consistently said it wants a permanent end to the war and a complete Israeli withdrawal. The people who are paying the price for this is the population of Gaza. I
understand, James, that their negotiating positions haven't changed, but the situation on the ground has changed, and it has got worse in Gaza.
Absolutely.
So why don't Hamas
Absolutely.
just say, all right, look, we are doing worse, things are worse in Gaza, we accept Israel's proposals? They could do that.
Of course they could do that. So could the Israelis. If you look at the division of opinion within Israel, the Israeli military is privately saying, we can deal with this. We don't need the war as it is being conducted right now. The point is that neither the Israelis nor Hamas, to be fair, really care about the price that Gazans are paying for their differences.
What about a wider conflict then? It very much does seem like those retaliatory attacks from Iran are back on the cards after this round of talks ended in nothing. How worried should we be about what to expect from those attacks and whether that will propel us into something wider in the region?
I think that's what Blinken is referring to when he says this is a last chance. So the hope was to get a ceasefire, and that would give the Iranians and Hezbollah a fig leaf not to escalate the situation in retaliation for the killings in Beirut and Tehran. The problem with it is that if there is no ceasefire, we're almost definitely going to get an Iranian and Hezbollah retaliation. And it's going to take a lot of statecraft and military craft to ensure that those retaliatory acts and Israel's response to them does not spin out of control and into a full-fledged Middle East conflagration.
Absolutely. James Dorsey, thank you so much for joining us on the NewsHour.
Pleasure to be with you.